Using the money I saved by forcing myself to eat instant noodles for an entire month, I paid for the fancy restaurant date I'd planned with my girlfriend. Dining at these fancy star-rated restaurants is totally routine for me. This must be your nicest outfit, right? €10's words pierced my chest like a sharp blade. Yet I just couldn't refute her at all. She had a calm, indifferent expression on her face, but I just felt completely uncomfortable with everything. I had no clue how to eat the fancy French-style meal on the table, and that was when €10 stood up. It is getting late. We should head back. A faint smile appeared on her delicate face. Huang Hun said, "Of course. We're done here too." She walked out of the restaurant in her elegant high heels and vanished from sight at the entrance, to the sound of blaring car horns. The nosy waitress had already noticed what was going on here, then stepped forward and whispered, "Excuse me, sir. May I clear these medications away?" The waitress saw I wasn't answering, glanced at me, and noticed I was wearing cheap casual clothes. "Sir, I'll take these away now." As the waitress spoke, she reached toward the dinner plates in front of her. My eyes were bloodshot, and I shouted hoarsely, "I told you to take these." The waitress was startled and stepped back instinctively, and I looked at her and continued questioning her. "Is this how a star-rated restaurant treats its customers?" My voice suddenly grew louder, and everyone around turned to look this way. The waitress felt embarrassed and retorted back, "Why are you taking your anger out on me? Did someone dump you? You're taking your anger out on someone else? Look at you. No wonder someone dumped you." Getting angry just backfires. High-end my ass. The waitress took it and stepped back a few steps. "What? Let's see if you can afford to pay for this. Don't you realize this isn't the place for you to make a scene?" I was panting heavily, and practicing archery with this guy calmed me down. "Security, come over and keep an eye on him. Don't let him get away." Just then, two middle-aged men walked through the front gate. One was my dad, and the other was my neighbor Lao Zhao. My dad's brows were furrowed, stifling a surge of anger right then. I immediately walked over, with my head down. "Sorry, Dad, for getting you into trouble again. Isn't 10,000 yuan a lot of money? I'm afraid the family can barely afford this money." I thought I was about to get a good scolding, didn't I? But my dad just let out a soft chuckle. "Smash away. You're upset today. Smash whatever you want. T-Siege. Your old man's got everything covered." I quickly stepped up to stop him. Security. The nearby security guards immediately swarmed over, but none of them dared to step forward, because old Zhao had a ferocious look on his face. He stands 1.9 meters tall, with a scar across his eye. His eyes were like those of a ferocious beast. "Let's see how you guys get out of here today. You'll go bankrupt paying for these things." My father waved indifferently. "Hey kiddo, no matter how much money we pay, it's all going to the hotel. What is the rush? Go get your boss here." Before long, a Mercedes-Benz G-Class, worth nearly 2 million yuan, pulled up outside the hotel. The hotel owner strode toward the lobby. The waiter saw the boss coming and hurried over, eager to take credit. "Boss, it is these guys causing the trouble. Let's just call the police." He watched my dad stride over, his face looking as terrible as could get. "Looks like your management skills are pretty mediocre, huh? I know my son's personality. He doesn't usually get angry that much. This time, someone's practically right up in his face." The hotel owner's legs almost gave out. "Sorry, big boss." At that moment, the waitress and the security guard froze in place, while the older and younger men remained completely expressionless, still standing with straight, unsmiling faces behind my dad. My dad looked up at the waitress, who was so scared she couldn't say a single word at that moment. The phone Ma Da was holding in his hand fell to the ground. The hotel owner didn't dare speak a single word right then, looking as if he was waiting to be punished. "It is fine. Go ask if my son's calmed down, okay? If he's calmed down, get someone to clean up." The hotel owner shifted his body toward me deferentially and raised his eyebrows. "Young master, look at this." My dad waved at me. "Son, this is our family's hotel after all. I only got you as my one kid. Would I ever let you get wronged?" My dad's words just short-circuited my brain for a moment. The Yunding Earl is the largest hotel in Kyoto. I'd just glance at it enviously whenever I pass by. Now my dad actually said this hotel is our family's, and I'm a rich kid too. Something I never knew. "All right, you little rascal. You were too naive back then, so your mom and I never told you. But now it is about time I told you." My dad casually flicked the cigarette butt in his hand, stood up, and walked toward the private elevator. "Old Zhao, wait here for me." Several beautiful etiquette hostesses quickly came to their senses. One stepped forward and pressed the elevator button for my father. I followed behind my dad, still feeling a little unreal, and the hotel owner let out a sigh of relief right then. "Just you wait, young master. Let's see how you'll handle this. If the young master is unhappy, I'll have to suffer along with him." The waitress was panicking. Her legs went weak, and she slumped straight onto the floor. After all, no one could have guessed that this loser, who just got dumped, would actually turn out to be the son of the hotel magnate. "I've never seen you sit so straight at home. All right, relax. I've talked this over with your mom. It is time for you to take on the family's burdens. You're all grown up now, so it's high time you took over the family business in Kyoto." Before I could even react, my dad called in a man in his 60s, led him into the office, and told him, "Old Chen, I'm leaving everything related to this kid of mine up to you from now on. Show this kid the ropes and get him up to speed." "Got it." My dad looked at the Smoke King again. "Hey kid, our Lin family's business can't be explained clearly to you in just a few words. Here is this card for you." I glanced at it and asked subconsciously, how much money is in there? "With your current abilities, you definitely won't be able to spend all of it anyway. Just use it." My phone suddenly vibrated. I saw it was my college class president calling. "Tonight's our college class reunion, 3 years after graduation. Lin Chuan, you absolutely have to come. We all meet at Cloud Peak Moon Star Club at 8 o'clock." Before I could even reply, the other party hung up the phone. My dad smiled knowingly. "All right, go on and have a good time with your classmates. Here's a task for you. Go spend $1 million first." Don't tell me you don't even know how to spend money. I was stunned speechless for a moment. The way my old dad was talking. Was he trying to get me to throw money around? Genting Starstride Moon Club is the flagship club under Count Genting. It caters to many high-profile individuals. This can turn the gathering into the top. You're here. Come to think of it, it's all thanks to young Master Joe from our class. I arrived at the largest and most luxurious private box at Xinyue Club. At the appointed time, the once bustling private room fell silent instantly. All at once, dozens of eyes turned to look at me. Some were disdainful, some teasing, others scrutinizing. The class monitor stood up first. Lin Chuan, I was worried you wouldn't show up. You were the last one to arrive. Was the traffic really bad on your way here today? I walked straight to an empty seat and sat in the director's seat. No idea. I didn't pay much attention on the way over. Lin Chuan, it is raining so hard. It is hard to catch a taxi, right? Zhang Ming slept in the upper bunk above me. Lin Chuan, how long have you been wearing those clothes? I've got a few old clothes here. Would you like to take some to wear? Even a fool could tell he was being sarcastic and passive-aggressive. He is convinced I don't have a car. Who does he think he is? I drove here. It is just that my place is pretty close to here, so he couldn't have won that bet. This clubhouse is in an excellent location, but there don't seem to be any residential areas nearby. Where do you live? The person speaking was Tan Jishu. He wore a pair of black-framed glasses. His hair was neatly combed. He was very polite and well-mannered. A female classmate decked out in jewelry and finery, cut in from the side. Shengda International is east of the clubhouse, and within 2 kilometers, it's the only place with housing. Lin Chuan, you don't live there, right? I recognized her as Li Yun. When we were in college, she'd always make a disgusted face every time she walked past me. Just then, someone came and left, and no one knew who it was. Li Yun. All the units at Shengda International are large flats over 400 square meters, priced at 300,000 yuan per square meter. Your Mr. Liu might not even be able to afford it. Li Yun let out a laugh and gave me a sly look. Lin Chuan, where on earth do you live? Quit pretending. Come clean. No big deal. I'll have my old buddy Lao Lu find you a cheap, affordable rental apartment. No sooner had he finished speaking than a chorus of sighs erupted around him. But I think I actually have an apartment over at Shengda International. That being said, I only just found out tonight that my dad had already prepared a house and car for me. But right now, I don't feel like saying much to them. I'm staying at the hotel nearby. The next second, several people laughed without trying to hide it. Lin Chuan, haven't seen you in years. Why do you still love putting on such an act? You're staying at that crummy little hostel nearby. That only costs a couple dozen yuan a night. Right. When I heard their laughter, I glanced over and saw nothing but contempt on Zhou Yang's face. She was my bitter rival throughout my 4 years in college. But there's another deeper reason for our rivalry. I calmly looked over at Tang Yuro, who was sitting next to Zhou Yang. She was my ex-girlfriend, and the woman I went to great lengths to win over. Tang Yuro is very pretty, universally recognized as both the class beauty and department beauty. My family ran a small business, and I was only 18 when I first entered college. It's only natural to develop a crush on pretty girls. Tang Yuro has so many suitors that a line of them would circle the playground twice. But since we were classmates, I had the edge from being so close, and I chased after her every day. I did whatever I could to give her the best. I was completely willing to put in all that effort just to see her smile. But today, I finally fully realized that being sincere doesn't always get you sincerity back. I smiled as I looked at the two of them, holding hands. You two are together. Congratulations. Lin Chuan, don't blame me. You only have yourself to blame for not being good enough. Tang Yuro maintained her dignified composure and gave me a faint smile. She wore that completely unapologetic expression, as if I wasn't the one she'd hurt today. It's over between us, Lin Chuan. I hope you find the right person soon. Don't bother about my business. I'm still young and not in a hurry. Quit going on about being young or not. The real reason is no one wants you. Everyone in the room nodded in agreement. Their glances at me, even more contemptuous and smugly chummy. Some even started mocking openly, right off the bat. They'd only been here less than 5 minutes and hadn't even sat down yet. They already wrote me off as a fekhe with no house, no car, and no decent job. Just then, the private room door swung open, and a security guard walked in and asked loudly, "Whose Lamborghini is out front?" Excuse me, whose Lamborghini is parked out front? Some other guests scratched your car a little, and the owner wants you to compensate for the damage. Inside the treasure chest, silence fell instantly, and the mocking jeers and laughter from moments earlier came to an abrupt halt. Lamborghini. That is a luxury car worth tens of millions. Nice. Which of our classmates drove here in such a nice car? Could it be Zhou Yang? Only, he's got what it takes. A smug look instantly crossed Zhou Yang's face, and he was about to speak to deny it, but I slowly raised my hand to signal the security guard. It is mine. Go tell that guest. It's okay if the Yushin car is hard to drive, you don't have to compensate. My voice wasn't loud, but it instantly quieted the private room. The security guard turned and left, and the private room fell deathly silent. Everyone stared at me, as if they'd seen a ghost. A few seconds later, Zhou Yang was the first to react and slammed his hand on the table, using someone else's car and passing it off as your own. Lin Chuan, you're really something else. Tan Jishu also looked at me and shook his head. Lin Chuan, knock it off. You better watch out, the real owner of this car will come after you. The monitor seemed to sense the atmosphere was off, so he quickly picked up his wine glass and stood up. Classmates, let me say a few words first. First of all, let's toast our 3rd graduation anniversary and being reunited here today. Secondly, I'd like to thank Zhou Yang for booking this wonderful venue for our important get-together, letting all of us get to check out such a great spot. Seriously, this club in Kyoto is the hardest place to get a reservation for. My husband Lao Lu only came here once. Lin Chuan, you probably haven't even heard of this club. Remember to pack some for your parents on your way back. I clenched my boxing gloves. If up until just now, I did so just out of respect for our old classmate, and I didn't want to make things awkward, so I held back again. But now, I don't think it is necessary to hold back any longer. You can say whatever you want about me, but you absolutely cannot badmouth my parents. I slowly picked up the wine glass on the table, a faint half smirk tugging at my lips, and spoke toward Zhou Yang. Zhou Yang, since you're being so kind, I'll raise a toast to you to thank you for your concern. Zhou Yang wore a dismissive expression and scoffed. What? Now you're trying to suck up to me. Where were you earlier? As he spoke, he picked up his wine glass too, waiting arrogantly for me to toast him. But the next second, I jerked my wrist hard, and the icy red wine in my glass splashed out immediately. Right on target, every drop splattered all over Zhou Yang's high-collar suit jacket. Inside the private box, a dead silence fell in an instant. The smugness and arrogance on Zhou Yang's face vanished right away, replaced by raging fury. He jumped to his feet and pointed straight at me. Lin Chuan, You, security captain. Where's the security captain? Get in here and throw this lunatic out. Hold me. I think he's courting death. I stood rooted to the spot, stone still. I still have that icy smile clinging to my legs and feet. I bet you can't move me. As soon as the words fell, a tall man in a black security uniform walked quickly in. Young Master Zhu, what is going on here? Who bullied you? It was Zhao Feng, the security captain of the club. Zhao Feng and Zhou Yang are extremely close. Every time Zhou Yang visits the club, Zhao Feng personally receives him. Zhao Feng is completely obedient to Zhou Yang. The moment Zhou Yang saw Zhao Feng arrive, he pointed at me and roared, "That is him. Drag him out. Teach him a good lesson, so he knows what happens when he crosses me." Zhao Feng looked at me, his eyes full of disdain and ferocity. Without a word, he shouted toward the doorway, "Somebody, drag this arrogant little punk out of here." 2 security guards burst in immediately, ready to grab me and drag me out. Just then, the young security guard who had come to inquire about the car owner earlier walked up to me once more, his eyes brimming with respect. "Hello, sir. I'm really sorry to disturb you. The thing is, the parking spot you chose isn't very good. Another car just passed by just now, and it almost scraped against my car again. Would you mind handing me your car keys? I'll park your car in your dedicated parking spot and make sure nothing like this happens again." As soon as those words were spoken, Zhao Feng froze instantly. He turned to look at the security guard, then glanced at me with a mocking expression on his face. Him. A Lamborghini owner. Really? Hey kid, are you out of your mind? He stepped forward, shoved the young security guard aside, pointed at me, started spouting harsh threats. "Let me tell you, today, you not only messed with young Master Zhou, but you even had the nerve to pretend to be the Lamborghini owner. I'll contact the real owner right now and have him come to deal with you." I completely ignored his ranting, didn't even look up at him, just slowly raised my hand. I took a car key out of my pocket. The top of the key has Lamborghini's exclusive bull logo, exquisitely crafted. It sparkled brilliantly. If you aren't blind, anyone can recognize this. A deathly silence fell over the private room again. Everyone stared dumbfounded at the key in my hand. Their shock was clearly written all over their faces. The classmates, who just mocked me, all stared with wide eyes, not even daring to breathe. "No, this can't be right, Ling Chuan. What on earth is going on here?" Li Yun also put away his affectionate expression. His eyes were full of panic and curiosity. He stared me up and down nonstop. Meanwhile, Zhou Yang's face alternated between pale and flushed, looking even worse than when he had red wine poured over him just now. "Ling Chuan, how fake can you get? You deliberately bought a fake prop key just to put on a show, and you think that can fool us? Let me tell you, that is impossible." Just as he finished speaking, the treasure chest door was pushed open right then. Manager Wang, the manager of your esteemed firm, was dressed in a sharp, tailored suit. He hurried and looking flustered. Several staff members followed closely behind him. As soon as he walked in, he bowed deeply to me. There was a faint hint of panic in his tone. "Young Master Ling, I'm truly sorry. I failed to manage things properly, and these rude fools who don't know their place offended you. Master Ling." These 3 words exploded like a blockbuster bomb right inside the treasure chest with a deafening crash. Everyone was completely stunned. Zhao Feng, who had been so overbearing and arrogant just now has a pale complexion. Manager Wang, what should I call him? Who is this young Master Lin? Manager Wang shot Zhao Feng a fierce glare, his eyes filled with rage and apprehension. "Are you blind? This is our young master, Lin Chuan, the Yunding Earl Hotel, the Yunding Star Moon Association, and most of the high-end industries in the capital all belong to the Lin family. How dare you hit young Master Lin? Do you want to die?" Zhao Feng trembled all over with fear, kneeling in front of me, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. "Sorry, young Master Lin. I had no idea who you were. I didn't know it was you. Please, be magnanimous and spare me this once." The classmates in the private room were all in an uproar right now, and the mockery and disdain on their faces had completely vanished without a trace. Instead, shock and thick sycophancy replaced their previous mockery. One student was the first to react, rushing over with a fawning smile on their face. "Lin Chuan, I never expected you to be doing so well. I was being immature just now, and I shouldn't have looked down on you. You're so magnanimous. Don't take it to heart." Li Yun also leaned over, his eyes brimming with flattery. "Lin Chuan, actually, I've long thought you have an extraordinary bearing, and you are by no means an ordinary person." The classmates who had been surrounding Zhou Yang just now all swarmed over. One by one, they wore fawning expressions and kept apologizing. Tang Euro was completely stunned. She let go of Zhou Yang's hand. She froze on the spot. Her eyes were filled with shock, regret, and unwillingness. She could never believe that all of Zhou Yang's strength had been sapped away. She sat on the chair, her face deathly pale, and kept muttering to herself, "No way. No way. How on earth could Lin Chuan be the young master?" At this moment, the pride Zhou Yang had prided himself on was completely crushed. I ignored their flattery and apologies, and simply spoke calmly to Manager Wang. "First, have the security team park my car properly. Also, fire this head of security. He's never allowed to set foot on any of Yunding's properties again." "Yes, young Master Lin, I'll do it right away." Manager Wang hurriedly bowed in acknowledgement, then, turned sharply to Zhao Feng and said, "You're fired. Get out right now." Zhao Feng slunk out in disgrace, and when Zhou Yang saw how arrogant and overbearing I was, his pent-up resentment and anger flared up instantly. He suddenly raised his head and stared at me fiercely. "Lin Chuan, don't get cocky. You think you secured this club by pulling strings." I turned to look at the club manager and spoke calmly. "Manager Wang, tell them who gave them permission to book this club." Manager Wang bowed and spoke firmly. "Young master, it was Mr. Zhou Yang who had someone, a regular staff member at the club, to make a secret reservation. Under our club's rules, someone like Mr. Zhou Yang has absolutely no right to book our luxury private boxes. If you hadn't been here today, young master, we would have kicked them out ages ago." This comment completely shattered Zhou Yang's last shred of pride. I looked at the scene of those young girls in front of me. I didn't feel the slightest bit stirred inside, and I only felt a deeply satisfying, exhilarating rush. I stood up and straightened my clothes. Rather than sitting through this dull gathering, I never even wanted to come here today. Suppose everyone ate their meal in peace. That would have been fine. But some people just had to be so foul-mouthed. "Alright, that is that. I don't want to stay any longer. You guys can keep the party going if you like. I'm heading out now." I turned to look at Wang Jingmin. "Also, charge all the expenses to my tab. Yes, young master, outside the club entrance. I let out a long sigh. Finally, having stood up against those who looked down on me. That is right. My dad was right. I'm old man Lin's son, and I shouldn't have to endure being wronged. It was nearly midnight when I got back to the hotel, so I washed up quickly and fell asleep. The next day, I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing. I opened my eyes, and it was my dad calling. Hey kid, you sure made a racket all night long. I instinctively started to apologize, but the next second, my dad said, nice work. A son from our Lai family should be exactly like this. We don't usually go looking for trouble, but we had no choice this time. Thanks, Dad. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. 2 years ago, your mom and I set up a blind date for you. The Su family's little girl, Su Wanqing, just returned from studying abroad recently. That young girl is not only pretty, but also has a very likable personality. You're free today, right? Go meet her, and I'll send you the address later. Before I could even answer, my dad hung up the phone. It was already noon, and I was just about to go grab a bite. I spotted a familiar figure right in the hotel lobby. It was Tang Euro. As soon as she saw me, she ran over to me happily. I shifted to the side and just dodged the hand she tried to put on me. Lin Chuan, I knew you'd come here. I've been waiting here for a long time. Let's have a good chat, I said, speechless, that we had nothing to talk about. I take back what I said about us breaking up yesterday. Let's get back together, okay? In your eyes, I'm just something you can summon and dismiss at will, right? You really think you can just decide when we get back together and when we break up? Tang Euro's face flickered with a trace of discomfort, but she still spoke in a softened tone. Lin Chuan, it is not like that. It was all Zhou Yang who forced me. Some time ago, my family's company ran into some trouble. Zhou Yang said, if I stayed with him, he could help my family get through this crisis. So now that you see my family is prosperous and well off, you want to seize this opportunity again. Perhaps my words struck her right in the heart. Tang Euro's voice. Her voice suddenly turned sharp. Ling Chuan, I was wrong before. I do love you. Give me another chance. Okay, I'll definitely be good to you from now on. I looked at her hypocritical face. It felt incredibly ironic. Opportunity. Tang Euro, you really think that I'd still want someone like you, who is so ingratiating and hypocritical? You call that the kind of virtuous, gentle woman I want? My words cut deep right then. Tang Euro's face. Her face instantly turned pale. Tears kept streaming down her face. I didn't pay her any more attention. Instead, I turned around. I called Uncle Chen and asked him to arrange a driver. Take me to Sue's manor. Strangely enough, Uncle Chen actually arranged a female driver for me this time. But she was a very pretty girl. She's also very skilled at her work. After a 40-minute drive, the car pulled up in front of a villa. This doesn't look like Sue's manor, does it? Seeing my reaction, the pretty girl smiled. This is your wedding home. Wedding room? Who am I sharing this wedding room with? It's our wedding room. I whipped my head around to look at her, only to see her eyes brimming with smiles. Hello, my name is Su Wanqing. She reached out her hand first. I forced an awkward smile and quickly reached out to shake hers. Sorry, I didn't know it was you just now. Su Wanqing smiled, her voice light and cheerful. It is okay. We'll have plenty of time to get to know each other slowly after we get married. Wait, my dad said this was just a meeting. So why are we getting married all of a sudden? I was just about to ask him what was going on. Suddenly, a voice came from the balcony overhead. Little rascal, hurry up and come up to see your wedding room. I even went online with my mom and Su Wanqing. Later, I found out that my dad had already confirmed the wedding date with the Su family, and it was set for the end of next month. His original intention was to let the two of us spend some time getting to know each other first. If you have no objections, we'll get married first and slowly build our relationship later on. For one thing, with the Su family's backing, I'll be able to gain a firm foothold in the Lin group. Secondly, the marriage alliance between the Su and Lin families, which will also solidify the cooperative projects between Lin group and Sushi group. Naturally, I have no objection to this arranged marriage. Since whoever I pick myself will end up betraying me, I might as well go with my parents' choice. Besides, after spending a few days getting to know Su Wanqing, she's truly a wonderful girl. The engagement ceremony was scheduled for the 19th of January, and many guests showed up that day. All the big and small business leaders in Kyoto are waiting to raise a toast at the wedding. The ceremony started right on time at 11, and Su Wanqing walked in happily as all eyes were on her. But just then, a sudden commotion broke out down below. It was Tang Euro and her friends, and I had no idea how she knew I was here. At this moment, Tang Euro was completely unhinged. She pushed past the people, blocking her. Her eyes were blazing with rage. She stared fixedly at the stage. This sudden turn of events grabbed the attention of all the guests present. I remained surprisingly calm. I turned to look at Su Wanqing and explained a few words. Sorry, those are my college friends. Could we pause for just a moment, so I can go over and talk to them for a few minutes? Su Wanqing hesitated before nodding, and I waved to stop all the staff. From start to finish, Tang Euro kept her gaze firmly fixed on me, never shifting even for a moment. You said you wouldn't forgive me, so you're marrying this woman. Seeing her so angry, I couldn't help but want to laugh. It is none of your business who I marry. Tang Euro laughed through her anger at my two comments. She closed her eyes and then opened them again. Her eyes were burning with raging fury. Is this the reason you married behind my back? What do you mean by behind my back? The wedding poems by consort Lin Su have been trending online for over a month now. Tang Euro, aren't you even online? Lin Su. Tang Euro seemed to recall something. She abruptly turned her head to look at the bride beside her, her pupils suddenly dilating wide. She couldn't believe Su Wanqing was marrying me. Yet, she also couldn't accept that I'm the heir to the temporary group, Kyoto's largest industrial conglomerate, Lin Shi Group. The Lin family? Wait, actually, I'm the next heir to the temporary group. And Su Wanqing's fiancé. Does anyone here have any questions about my identity? This sharp retort left Tang Euro and her friends speechless. Among her college classmates, Tang Euro truly called the shots. But this is a joint gathering of Kyoto's two most prominent poetic families. Their family backgrounds are really nothing compared to the Lin and Su families. And no one knew how long their silence had lasted. Tang Euro asked in a hoarse voice, why didn't you ever say that before? Tang Euro didn't tell me your real identity. Haven't you also hidden a lot from me? Like the night before we broke up, you were in young Master Zhou's bed. A few short words left Tang Euro's face deathly pale. She quickly struggled again. I can explain this. She forced me that night. If I hadn't agreed, She wouldn't have helped me do that. I don't want to say more. I was just about to step forward and ask the security guards to show them out. Tang Yuro spoke again, this time refusing to give up. Ling Chuan, why would you rather marry a woman you barely know? Then forgive me, the one who's been with you for 2 years. I stepped back to put some distance between us. If I'm not mistaken, we already broke up. Mind your own business. But the marriage between the Lin and Su families was already settled over a month ago. Back when we hadn't broken up yet, you'd already lined up a marriage with the Xia family. I crossed my arms and glanced at her, keeping my tone light and indifferent. You could sleep with Zhou Yang first before breaking up with me. I planned my way out a month in advance. Is that wrong? A few words left Tang Yuro completely speechless. She stepped forward to grab my hand, but I pulled away. I didn't look at her again, turned around and walked toward the stage. As the two brushed past each other, Tang Yuro could no longer hold back. She suddenly grabbed me, and I'd reached the end of my patience. I shook her off immediately. We tussled, our shoulders brushing. Beneath the suspension walkway teacher, Niang built overhead. A stone fell down with a clatter, crashing straight onto my head. At the moment danger struck, Tang Yuro subconsciously pushed me aside. Just as a bell rang, a heavy iron lamp weighing dozens of pounds crashed onto her shoulder. Su Wangqing immediately pulled me over, and I couldn't help turning back to look. At a glance, I saw Tang Yuro lying in a pool of blood. Security personnel, who rushed over upon hearing the sound, all stepped forward to check on Tang Yuro's condition. Su Wangqing also frowned, asking if I was hurt. After confirming that I was safe and sound, she finally breathed a sigh of relief and helped me leave this troubled place. Everything was forced to be postponed, and this was the first time I'd heard from Tang Yuro again. It was 3 days later that I received a phone call from Li Yun. Li Chuan, how could you be so cruel? Yuro was badly hurt trying to save you, and you didn't even come to see her at all. Listening to her accusations, I didn't want to be wrongfully blamed like this either, so I snorted coldly. If she hadn't kept pestering me and clinging on, the carved lantern never would have hit me. She got exactly what she deserved, and you're still trying to pin this on me, no matter how this all unfolded. She pushed you out of harm's way when her own life was on the line. Don't you have even a shred of old feelings left? I'm actually a bit impressed by how thick-skinned and shameless she is, and how skillfully she twists the truth. I don't feel like wasting any more words on her. Li Yun, quit your nonsense and stop pestering me. What happened to Tang Yuro has nothing to do with me. If you keep at it, I'll just hang up the phone. No sooner had I finished speaking, then came Tang Yuro's weak voice from the other end of the line, yet with a forceful voice. It was clear that she had snatched Li Yun's phone. Yu Chuan, don't hang up. I know you don't care about me, but you can't ignore your marriage. I arched an eyebrow and spoke coldly. What has my marriage got to do with you? This matters. Tang Yuro's voice suddenly rose, laced with a hint of frantic threat. If you won't come to me, I'll do it myself. Then, I'll get a few reporters to publish that the Li family heir actually forced his ex-girlfriend just to marry into the Su family. Then we'll see if the Su family still goes ahead with this marriage. Before I could retort, Su Wangqing snatched my phone, her tone icy cold. Miss Tang, simply because you saved Lin Chuan's life at the ceremony, I've been tolerating you all this time. Lin Chuan spared your family out of old affection, but I have absolutely no connection with the Tang family. Su Wangqing spoke in a calm tone, yet there was an undercurrent of threat in every word she said. I'm sure Miss Tang is a smart woman who knows exactly what choice to make. Just a few words sent Tang Yuro's heart straight to rock bottom. After all, given the Su family's influence, all it takes is a few words from Su Wangqing, and the Tang Corporation could vanish from Kyoto overnight. Tang Yuro dared not stake her family's future, so she gritted her teeth and swallowed her anger before hastily hanging up the phone. Sure enough, after that, Tang Yuro never contacted us again, and it wasn't long before news broke that the Tang family had gone bankrupt. It said that the Tang family's company was already teetering on the edge of collapse due to the earlier crisis, and only managed to stay afloat entirely thanks to a small amount of financial support from the Zhou family. But ever since Zhou Yang learned that Tang Yuro had secretly come to see me, the Zhou family completely cut off all contact with the Tang family. Without backing from the Zhou family, the Tang family's capital chain snapped instantly, leaving them saddled with mountains of debt, and they ultimately had no choice but to declare bankruptcy. 1 month later, my wedding with Su Wan was held as scheduled. This time, no one showed up to cause trouble, and the wedding was grand and spectacular. All the prominent figures in Kyoto came to congratulate the cooperation between Linshi Group and Su's group, which has grown even more solid thanks to this wedding.